Hey, where do bugs get off the train? At the infestation. Hey, shh. Welcome back to Not Another Needless Sequel, where we watch movies and propose unnecessary prequels, sequels, reboots, and remakes. My name is Kane. With me, as always, is my co-host, my wife, and my bug, Kelsey.
Who ordered the poo-poo platter? I've been waiting to use that one.
For a week.
For a week, yeah.
This week, we saw an epic of miniature proportions with 1998's A Bug's Life. So what do you think the story was?
It's a story about a bug named Flick who...
And his life?
Sure, and his life.
I mean, you can keep going.
No, who needed to find friends to stand up to grasshoppers.
So...
I'm done now.
Before we get started, I wanted to start with my first piece of trivia. It's one of my favorite pieces of trivia ever because I believe it was beat into my head because on the DVD for, I think, Finding Nemo, it tells you this before the movie. So during the summer of 1994, Pixar's story department began turning their thoughts to their next film while Toy Story was in post-production. The storyline of Bug's Life originated in a lunchtime conversation between John Lasseter, Andrew Stanton, Pete Docter, and Joe Ranft, the studio's head story team. So during this lunch, they conceived Toy Story 2, Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, and WALL-E.
As well as A Bug's Life?
Yes, they came up with all the ideas for these movies, like
That's
during that
pretty
one
crazy
lunch.
because WALL-E came out later.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, all of those were like years
Yeah,
in the
but I
making.
also feel like it back then it took multiple years to make an animated movie.
Yes, it was a lot harder, but you know, it's just so interesting that all of those movies have gone on to become very famous. Probably WALL-E is the least famous of them, but you know, just one lunch. So you see this ant colony with Flick, the main character. They're all working to gather food. Flick is somewhat of an inventor, and he is using like this thing that he made to help gather the seeds. And I just want to say, like, you know, they're all shit talking Flick, but his ideas aren't bad. They just don't give him a chance.
Right. His idea wasn't bad. Poor execution on his part, I will say, because essentially what happens is all of the food they have to gather is for the grasshoppers. And while they're hurrying because they can hear the grasshoppers coming, Flick goes to dump his food out of his seed collector and it knocks the entire pile off into water and ruins all of the food.
I would argue, why is the food on a rock like that? That's on another rock.
You can
unbalanced.
argue that, but that's probably how the grasshoppers want it. And he did make a mistake. However, he doesn't deserve the way that they treated him, but the no food part is kind of his fault.
Yeah, they mention other things throughout that have led to why they don't really like him currently. But yes, the grasshoppers arrive for their food offering that they get from the ants, and it's all in the water because Flick fucked it up. And so the main grasshopper, the leader of the gang, Hopper, voiced by real life bad guy Kevin Spacey, is there, and he is mad and tells them, you know what, we're gonna come back before winter and you have to have double the food, which is already a problem because they were already struggling getting food for themselves as well as enough food for the ants.
So typically they just gather the food for the grasshopper. The first gathering is just for the grasshoppers. They leave them alone for the year. And then the second half of the season is for them to gather food for themselves to last the entire winter. But now they have to somehow collect double when they were already, like, short-staffed, essentially.
Yes.
I will say that the princess ant, Princess Ada, she is working on becoming the queen, and the queen's kind of her advisor. The queen also has a younger child named Dot, and Dot is the only one that's nice.
To Flick, yes.
To Flick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Princess Ada goes with meets with the council of the ants or something, and they all decide that it would be good to just let Flick go out.
Yes, because Flick comes up with an idea that he can go get some bugs to help them fight back the grasshoppers rather than just do the offering. And the whole ant colony is not about that, but they're like, oh shit, we can get rid of Flick. He just causes issues anyway.
Yeah, and
But-
so they're excited.
Yeah.
Rudefully, so.
I wanted to say about the grasshoppers, the casting for Hopper was apparently problematic because John Lasseter wanted Robert De Niro to do the part, but he kept turning it down. And then, you know, that led to Kevin Spacey meeting John Lasseter at the Academy Awards ceremony. And apparently he was super excited to do it, probably for nefarious reasons. I think Robert De Niro would have been too funny in my head as I mean, the way he talks, I think it would have just been a little silly for Hopper.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, Flick leaves and he goes.
I'd like to say that while he's leaving, he has his own little leaf backpack and leaf hat, and he's really feeling himself in that outfit.
I thought it was cute.
It was cute. I did make a note about it, is because he was feeling himself in the fit.
And I mean, you know, it's just that he's the only one trying to make a difference. They just want to stay the same, doing the same shit, and continuing to let these grasshoppers bully them. But they just don't like him because his inventions haven't worked. Which at the same time, you see throughout the movie, he will like he made a telescope at one point. 2 people besides Flick use the telescope. He makes a megaphone, gives the megaphone to Princess Ada. She uses it. It works out great. And even towards the end, they use his seed collector thing. They use it as like a fireworks launcher.
Yeah.
But still. Anyway, Flick gets to the big city and he sees that there's this circus, P.T. Flea's circus, which he actually meets them at a bar. But, you know, you see there's a circus. And it's all these bugs working in the circus. They're just clowns, you know? They do
They're
juggling.
clowning around.
They do juggling. They do circus tricks. But they end up in a bar, and they're getting into a fight with some flies due to an argument that happened during the circus. And in order to get out of the fight, they put on this fake little Robin Hood-y act. And so they're standing on tables saying, we're the greatest warriors. Flick, not understanding, thinks they're actually warrior bugs. And he recruits them to come help. They think that he's hiring them for
a circus show.
Yes. And he thinks he's hiring actual warriors.
It's actually super uncomfortable because this lasts way too long.
And something about it though, it's like, I don't know, I really like the premise of it, them both thinking the other one is doing the wrong thing in the end when the truth comes out.
And only the audience knows.
Yes.
For such a long time.
Yes. So they get back to the colony and they, you know, the ants start to think that this could work out.
And first off, the colony was shocked he returned with people at all. They thought he was going to be gone for so much longer than he was.
Yes.
And they were like a little upset.
Well, they were saying he was going to be dead. Some of them were like, he'll be dead in a week. But he gets back and it comes out because the ants put on a little celebration and they have these kids come out and they have a painting of the fight to come and it shows like some of them dead, killing grasshoppers. And they put on a little like Shakespearean play. You don't get to see the whole play, but you see like one of the ants and the end. They're little kid ants, so it's super cute. One of them's like, die, die, die.
It's Dot that dies.
Yeah.
Dot puts it on.
And then
they're like, on behalf of Mrs. Whatever, 2nd grade class. Yeah.
And then you see the circus bugs and they're just like eyes wide, jaws
like,
on the
we
ground.
Have to leave.
And they're like trying to get Flick's attention. He looks over and they're like juggling and he realizes what's happening and he panics. And then they get into an argument. They're like, how dare you trick us? And he's like, I tricked you. You tricked me. And they're going to leave the circus bugs.
They are leaving, and what happens is Flick's trying to stop them, makes a huge commotion, and a bird attacks.
Yes, there's a bird living very nearby. You even see it has a nest with 3 eggs, which comes up later, too.
Yeah, and so...
They get injured. At least one of them does. Francis, the ladybug, gets injured.
Because he saved Dot.
Yes, and then, because of the bird attack, they come up with the idea to have a fake bird that will scare Hopper away, and... It's kind of revealed through context clues that Hopper has been attacked by a bird, and he's afraid of birds. He even has a scar on his face, seemingly from said bird.
They also make a couple of quotes throughout the movie, which the quote changes depending on who's saying it. But when Hopper in the beginning, he says the ants gather the food, the grasshoppers eat the food, and then someone says the birds eat the grasshoppers.
Yeah, it's Molt, his brother.
And he gets upset, which Molt is Richard Kind. Character actor Richard Kind. What a great guy.
Yeah.
So then, towards the end, which we'll get to it, when Princess Ada says something, she kind of changes the quote.
Yeah. So, obviously birds would be a natural predator for bugs, but they, they think this is going to work, and they start working together, and obviously the ants and the circus bugs start, kind of forming a bond as well. So we cut to the grasshoppers, and they are on, a little vacation living in a sombrero. It's suggested, actually, in the DVD commentary for A Bug's Life that the mosquito family that lives in that sombrero are taken over every summer by Hopper and forced to play along with them. It's not like a bar like it appears.
Yeah.
It's just them bullying a family, which is super fucked up.
I think something else is that when everyone finds out, all of the ants do find out that he just brought back circus bugs.
Yeah.
And they told him to leave and never return.
Yeah.
They kicked him out of the colony.
So before they find out, though, at that where the grasshoppers are, they Malt and a couple of the other people in the gang are talking about, why should we even go back for the food? We have plenty of food here. There's no need to return. We don't even, want to deal with the rain that might be coming because it starts to get to that season. And Malt tells Hopper that, and Hopper finds out that two of the people in his gang came up with that idea, and I'm pretty sure he kills them. He rips open this food thing and it just collapses on them, and he says to them, it's not about the food, it's about keeping those ants in line. They outnumber us 100-1. If they ever figure that out, our way of life is gone.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't care at all about the food. It's just that an ant stood up to him and he has to keep them weak and down and feeling like they have no power here. So they're going to return regardless. And yes, then you see that everything goes to shit because P.T. Flea, the leader of the circus that the circus bugs worked for, shows up to rehire the circus bugs because, whatever they did last time worked out really well. And he blows their whole cover, reveals the truth. So yes, they kick out Flick and the gang, and Flick is depressed.
And Dot is the only one that wants him to stay.
Yes. And so Hopper and the gang return, and they take over because there's not enough food. So instead, they decide to stay there for a minute and force the ants to continue to work, and they're going to kill the queen. Because of that, Dot goes to get help from Flick and the circus bugs, and she convinces them to come back. So the circus bugs distract Hopper. They they show up as if they're there just to put on a show for the grasshoppers. They say that Queen Ada hired them to come and put on a little show in honor of them. Meanwhile, they're executing the bird plan that they initially had, and they're getting that bird going. So they built this fake bird. They kept it up in a tree. It's tied to like a rope. It swings down. And it's believable. It's the middle of the night. Everybody's freaking out. But it's ruined because fucking P.T. Flea. He's ruined everything for them from the beginning. P.T. Flea is like, I know what to do. And he does his circus act and sprays the bird with lighter fluid and lights it on fire.
And Dot and all of the little children are on the inside.
Yeah.
Who were driving the bird.
They
who
do
then
get
have
out.
to escape. Yeah. And so that whole plan gets destroyed, and then the grasshoppers are gonna take over, and Flick stands up to him again.
Yeah,
Hopper
again.
again.
He has his fucking albino wild grasshopper beat the hell out of Flick, and it's really honestly a powerful scene for an animated movie because he's beat to shit. He's much weaker than Hopper, and he still stands up and he says, ants don't serve grasshoppers. Grasshoppers need us more than we need you.
Right.
And obviously this makes Hopper mad, but it...
all of the ants arm in arm together, and he realizes that they've realized they outnumber him and can overpower him.
Yes, and so it seems like they won, but it doesn't end there because it starts to rain. And so the ants scatter, and Hopper takes this opportunity to grab Flick, and he's going to kill him. And Flick and Princess Ada are running, but then a real bird shows up, and the real bird from earlier that attacked, and Hopper thinks it's fake, but it picks him up and drops him into the nest with the 3 baby birds.
So you all can make the assumption, did Hopper die?
My next piece of trivia is Hopper is the first Pixar villain to die.
He definitely died. He deserved it.
Yeah, fuck him. So the ants live happily ever after. In the ending of this movie, this is the first Pixar film to have outtakes. So if you've ever seen a Pixar film, at least around this era, they don't do it anymore. They would fully animate these outtakes as if they were actually filming the ants.
Yeah.
And I've always loved that. I thought it's hilarious that they do that. They've done it in Toy Story. I think that they did it in Finding Nemo. Monsters, Inc. They did it. Anyway, the outtakes were shown theatrically and on the VHS, but they're only available now in the bonus features of the DVD and Blu-ray versions and on Disney+.
I do want to say something about the rain. We kind of casually passed over it, and I thought the rain was depicted like that of a horror movie.
Yeah.
It was pretty dark, which we said it was a didn't scene, the public beating of Flick, But that was pretty dark for
Yeah, which is
a children's
it
movie.
works really well because obviously to a child rain is nothing, but to an ant that is like a life-ending event.
Yeah.
If they're not, safe and away from it. And yeah, they do it really well. Like the way that the ants look off in the distance and you see the rain coming towards them and the noise, like the sound design for that was amazing too. You can hear it coming towards them.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that. I also thought it was funny because Hopper grabs Dot.
Yeah.
And she slaps him on the face. She boops him in the nose.
Yeah.
And that's funny.
Dot's great.
Dot's the best character of the movie. For sure.
I rated this movie a 4 out of 5. I mean,
Cheater. I also rated it a 4 out of 5.
I always liked this movie as a kid, but returning to it, obviously there is a whole nother theme to it that you don't see as a kid that is just amazing.
I actually have the opposite. I did not care for this movie as a kid. Like, I had seen it a few times. It was fine. But A Bug's Life was never something I wanted to be like, let's watch that again or anything like that. And so I actually appreciate it more now as an adult than I did as a kid.
Which is strange because I hate bugs.
Yeah, he's absolutely terrified of bugs. And grasshoppers are probably, any bug with wing, but especially grasshoppers are probably number one.
It's because of this. I knew as a child Kevin Spacey was no good.
That must be it, because I'm not kidding. We opened the door to the car, and if there's a grasshopper there, he won't get in. I have to get rid of it.
It's the truth. Okay, so editor Lee Unkrich revealed that they considered calling the film Bug Story, but coming on the heels of Toy Story, they were worried that people would expect Pixar to use the blank story naming convention for all their films.
Okay.
So with that, I wanted to give you the titles of the films and see what you think it would be if they had just been like, that's it, every movie we make is called something story.
Okay.
Inside Out?
Emotion Story.
I think so. I was thinking Feeling Story, but I like Emotion Story better.
Oh, okay.
Brain Story, maybe?
Oh, could be Brain Story.
Either way. Monsters, Inc. Just Monster Story, probably.
I would say Monster Story, but...
Could there be something better?
I think
Scream
there could be
Story?
something. I was thinking like,
Capitalism Story?
Oh. I was thinking The Scariest Story, but I don't like that. I think it'd have to be the Monster Story.
The Incredibles?
Superhero Story?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything better. Okay, Finding Nemo? Fish Story?
The Lost Fish Story?
I think they all just have to be the one word.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. This obviously is just a...
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
The Fish Story, I guess.
Fish Story. Fish...
Ocean
Story.
Fish is plural. Oh,
Because
I like
there's
the
more than
Ocean
just fish,
Story.
right?
Yeah, I like the Ocean Story.
Okay. Cars.
Ka-chow!
Ka-chow
Story.
Story. Cars.
The Racing Story.
I guess it is. The first one for sure is just all about racing. Anyway, that's it. But those would have sounded awful. I just want to point that out, that I'm glad they didn't do that.
Yeah. What's your favorite of the Monsters, Inc. movies?
What do you mean, the monster? Between the only two? There's only two of them. There's Monsters, Inc., Monsters, Inc. University, and then there's a TV show.
Oh, University is better.
University, I think, adds a lot to the first one just by building up their friendship.
Yeah.
And also, child Mike Wazowski is one of the cutest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's why.
Without a doubt.
That's why. Monsters University is
That
better.
shit brings me to tears when I see him as a little kindergartner.
Have you ever seen Cars?
The first one, yeah.
Was Life a Highway? Life is a highway. I want to ride it. And other opinion, Incredibles is just okay.
What the fuck did you just say
Yeah,
on this
anyways,
podcast?
so back
The
to
Incredibles is 10 out of 10.
Sequels.
We're doing
everyone.
Incredibles next.
Oh no. No, we're not. We already have the next one picked out.
It's coming soon. You look out for it, folks.
Incredibles,
We're doing Incredibles.
coming soon to podcast near you.
I'm gonna show her The Incredibles is actually fucking amazing.
Alright, anywho's guys, my sequel is a direct sequel. It's called Bug's Life, Council of the Bugs. Or Bug Council, whichever. I think Council of the Bugs sounds better.
Yes.
After defeating the grasshoppers, the news spreads across the land of bugs. All the small bugs are so inspired that they start doing the same things to the bugs that bully them. As word spreads, a new order is to be had, and all the bugs decide to form a council. Princess Ada and Flick are the representatives of the ant colonies. Jobs amongst all the bugs are divided up to allow more vacation time and less working. So somebody gathers food, somebody does this, somebody does that. Yada, yada, yada. Everything is going smoothly until Dot overhears dragonflies say they are not going to deal with this much longer and they'll teach the small bugs a lesson. Dot reports back to Flick and Ada, who initially don't believe her because everything is going so well, but soon less and less plants are becoming pollinated, so less seeds and berries are being created. This decreases the production, causing a strife at the council meetings. And that is when we meet Hopper's brother, Chopper, the true king of the grasshoppers.
Chopper?
Listen, I don't know his name. I just made Chopper up at this moment. I
think that is
good.
exactly what they would have named him.
Yeah, so. I know. That's why. This is supposed to be straight to DVD
Hopper's
sequel.
brother, Chopper.
Choppa. Yeah, Choppa. With an AH. Anyways, he and the dragonflies take over and imprison the council members who disagree with them, meaning Flick and Ada are unable to warn the others. Soon it has all gone backwards again, except this time Hopper's brother is even more cruel. Ants and other bugs are working solely for dragonflies and grasshoppers, leaving them tired. They start to become ill and die.
Oh my gosh.
Dot sets out on an adventure to find old friends, and when she does, they are more than happy to help. The old circus gang is back together to help Flick and Ada escape. Luckily, there was a contingency plan that Flick and Ada had secretly made should this occur and they have to execute. They hold a secret meeting with other small bugs and the plan is in place. A surprise attack of the grasshoppers and dragonflies, and just when the little bugs start to lose, Flick comes in with his next invention, the saddle and a seed gun for the back of a bird. So it's like a real choppa.
Oh my god.
Get it? Get it? Huh? The birds come in a flock as all of the council members are riding different birds to help them defeat the dragonflies and the grasshoppers once and for all. The council then reconvenes and the decision is made. The original question is, should they allow all bugs to participate or only small bugs, and they'll continue to have their military council to stand up to the big bugs. But the decision is made that a few bad eggs can't ruin the rest, so they all are allowing them to continue to participate in the council and everything goes back to normal. The end.
Wow, that is way better than mine. I'm embarrassed. Let me just squeeze out this turd.
Don't say that.
A Bug's Life 2.
Electric Boogaloo?
Just A Bug's Life 2.
Oh, no Electric Boogaloo.
Not this time.
Oh, okay.
Flick and Queen Ada have been living and loving life with the ant colony, prospering since Hopper's death. But one day, an ant named Adam shows up begging for help as his colony has been terrorized by grasshoppers and he's seeking help from the ants that have fought back against grasshoppers before. Flick, Dot, and the circus bugs go to investigate this other ant colony, but the journey is far and takes them through new places with all kinds of new bugs. So, that'd be a little chunk of the movie. Kind of like his scene where he went through the city. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah, I think that's cool. It's kind of what my thought was with the council. Like, it would show all of the different,
different communities, like how they look.
Yeah, and then they all meet.
Because the city was so different.
Yeah. Imagine all of the different resources you would have if you did that. That was kind of my thought behind it. So, I like it.
Flick and the gang finally arrive at Adam's colony and find it's been abandoned and destroyed. They're confused, but back at home we see Adam is not what he appears. With Flick, Dot, and the gang gone, Adam reveals the truth. Adam is there to take over the ant colony for his group. Queen Ada pleads with Adam, saying they really can help him regrow his home and keep it safe from the grasshoppers. Adam laughs and tells the queen he doesn't need protection from grasshoppers. Suddenly, grasshoppers, as well as Adam's entire colony, descend on the anthill, revealing that Adam works with the grasshoppers and isn't afraid of them.
Ooh.
Flick and friends realize something is off and hurry home to find chaos, and they are immediately imprisoned, questioning why they decide to help others in the first place. As Adam is taking over, Flick overhears the grasshoppers talking about how they are going to betray Adam. I can't believe we destroy his home, kill several of his colony, and this ant still believes we are working together, the grasshopper says. Flick asks to speak with Adam and tells him the truth, but Adam is blind to it and believes the grasshoppers when they lie to him. He truly believes they are equals.
Could use the megaphone to where they talked and then it went to...
that'd be a good way to keep his inventions in the movie. He could do the little cup and string thing, but a leaf and...
Yeah, and Dot has one on one end.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Dot has been separated from Flick, but has been working on a plan to escape and turns things around. She's going to evacuate the ants and collapse the anthill, trapping Adam and the grasshoppers.
Ooh.
Dot just needs to spread the word through a game of telephone. After everyone gets word of the plan, they spring into action. Adam eventually realizes what's going on and gets desperate, pleading with Flick, Dot, and the gang, saying they can't do this, they will have nowhere to live like him. They tell Adam that they may lose everything, but they won't lose themselves like Adam has. they can always rebuild. Using their old tricks, the circus bugs trap Adam and the grasshoppers and collapse the tunnels on them. They then decide to move to the big bug city and live happily ever after.
Ooh, so the whole ant colony is going to the big city. I have a question. Being trapped and tunneled, did they eat the ants and then they starved to death? Or, like, what happened to...
They were all crushed to death.
Nice.
What happens when you're a class traitor, Adam Ant?
He's a first-class ass sniffer.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We do so appreciate it. If you want to talk movies with us, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and Blue Sky. We are NansPod everywhere.
NansPod?
If you'd like to vote on whose sequel idea was the best, come by our YouTube channel for the polls, or let us know your idea with a comment. I don't know what Blue Sky's things are called, but they're not tweets.
A comment, a Blue Sky message.
Or you can reach us at needlesssequel@gmail.com. Links, as always, will be wherever you are listening. If I could ask you for one thing, it's to share our show with someone and leave us a review. That is how we get new listeners. Of course, I also ask that you come back for more Needless Sequels. Next week, we are watching Garden State on Max. And today I want to close with a line from G-Man of the Half-Life series. The right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world. Take care of yourselves, everyone. We will see you next week.
Bye!